talking about how we are not your typical true crime podcast. And not only are we also doing video, but we are also investigating cases. So we've been recording our spotlight cases, which we have posted a few of those already. But something that you may not know, which is what we're going to talk about today, is that we are also investigating cases. I am a licensed private investigator. Bree is working on getting her private investigator license as well. So in addition to our spotlight cases, which we are passionate about keeping in the spotlight, keeping those names in the media so that, hopefully more information will come forward and those cases can potentially be solved. We are also going to take on one case, probably quarterly at this point. That may change in the future, but we are also taking on one case where we will be working in the background, behind the scenes, actually investigating a case. And we are licensed in the state of Tennessee. We're based out of Nashville, but so we will just be limiting those cases to cases in Tennessee where we are licensed. So our first case is going to be a somewhat local case to Nashville here, and I'm going to let Bree introduce the case to you. This is going to be our first case that we're investigating behind the scenes while we're doing our spotlight cases.
So I'm so excited to introduce Sebastian Rogers. He has been missing since February 25th, 2024. He was 15 years old when he was last seen, and that was around Stafford Court in Hendersonville, Tennessee. When he was missing, he was last seen in black sweatpants, a black sweatshirt, black glasses, and he was thought to have a flashlight. There has been no reports or sightings of him since.
His the anniversary date of him going missing is coming up. Obviously, he went missing in February, and so we thought it was a good time. It's been 2 years. He'll be 17 this year. And his family is still very active. I know his dad especially is very active in trying to, keep the case alive, keep the case moving, trying to come up with more leads. So we thought it was a good one to start with. He went missing when he was 15. He's autistic. It was, from what I understand, pretty unusual for him to leave the house. He didn't have his phone with him. He didn't have any money with him. The circumstances about him, leaving that night are pretty unknown for the most part, I believe. There's been extensive searches. There's been a lot of investigation, a lot of effort into this case. There's been a lot of media coverage, and he's still missing. So that's the case that we're going to start with. And as I said before, too, this is not your traditional, typical podcast, true crime podcast, where we just speak to you through the microphone or on camera. We are inviting you to participate. So we know there's so many people out there that have so many skills, research skills, have connections, and there's just average, I say average citizens, but people that are not in law enforcement out there solving crimes right now. They have information, they have skills, they have an interest, a passion, and so we would like to invite you to participate in these investigations. And there's so many different ways that you can do it. The easiest, simplest way is just to follow along on our YouTube channel. Follow along on TikTok or Instagram, whichever is your favorite platform, and then repost and share those spotlights and videos and stuff that we share, because it just helps continue to get that information out and get it in front of other people. We also have our subscribers, our members. If you become a member of the Cold Case Collective, there's different levels. Our starter level is an observer, but from observer to researcher to analyst. And those levels, everybody gets access to a private Facebook group where you get to discuss all the cases, not just the ones we're investigating, but you can talk about any of the spotlight cases. But specifically, we'll set up discussions regarding like in this case, Sebastian Rogers. And then if you are either the researcher or analyst level, we're also going to be doing live group calls where we can discuss the case, where we can come up, ask questions. We can, discuss theories. We can discuss the, investigations, the searches, and all the stuff that has been done that's at least in public knowledge. Obviously, right now the case is being handled by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Hendersonville PD did the initial investigation. So there's obviously stuff that they're going to have, information they're going to have that is not available to the general public. But as I said, I have a private investigator license. Bree is working on getting hers. So we are going to try to bridge that gap between the general public and the law enforcement agencies that are working on these cases. And we would just invite you to join along and participate in, in whatever way that, whatever way that you want to, whether that's just, watching the YouTube videos and subscribing to our channel just to help, help that get more visibility. Again, subscribe, follow, share on, like, comment on social media. All of that engagement helps keep that information in front of more people's eyes. And our biggest goal is, of course, we would love to solve these cases, obviously. Yeah. But one of the best ways to get new information to come forward is by putting these cases in front of people and continuing to expand that visibility until it gets in front of somebody that actually has information that they can bring forward to potentially, solve a case. Bree, what are your thoughts on the audience participation and bringing, not just us working on these cases, but actually bringing an audience in to be team members?
I think that's really what makes us so different from all of the other really cool podcasts that are already out there. I think we are just two sets of eyes when there could be way more. And then also it just allows a lot more interaction, right? Like I love listening to true crime. I love reading true crime books. And so being actually on the floor in the investigation is something that I'm going to enjoy a lot. And I think that it's not just us, right? And kind of like what you said, the more people, the better, and the more help and the more answers we can potentially find, maintaining that team aspect. So,
yeah, and I have law enforcement experience. I am a licensed private investigator. I have a master's degree in forensic science investigation. Bree has a master's degree in biology. So we each bring something to this that, is enriching our ability to kind of look at this case from a different perspective. But maybe you have extensive experience with genealogy and you can bring that in, maybe not to this case particular, but future cases where genealogy would be a huge asset to the case. Maybe you have other talents or experiences that Bree and I do not have, even though we've got great experience and great skills, but we're not skilled at everything. When we balance each other out, but maybe you have something that you can bring in that would make all the difference. So we just invite you to join in, to participate, to become a member of the Cold Case Collective in whatever way that, you would like to. And again, our biggest goal here is to hopefully, solve a case or get at least information that, could lead to a case being solved. So,
yeah, even just familiarity in the areas that we're looking at. Like I personally have never been around Stafford Court, to bring it back to Sebastian. And so even if you are in that area and you have information regarding, even just landscaping, I think that would be just really helpful in getting, again, answers quicker. So.
Yep. And in addition to participating in those group chats and the possible, the live calls and things like that, you can always just comment on our website. We're going to post, we post show notes for every Spotlight episode, but we're also going to be posting updates on Sebastian's case. So at any point, we'll have one post and we'll just post updates. At any point, if you have information and you want to, comment on our website or on our videos or anything like that, we invite, we welcome that as well. Anything, anything that could potentially lead to, more new information is always welcome. So, all right.
All right. Thanks for watching.
Yep. We hope that you'll follow along on our Sebastian case, our first case of 2026, our first case file.